For years now, I've been following a trail that leads backward, far earlier than the Great Pyramids, far earlier than the Fourth Dynasty. And with every new discovery, that trail becomes harder to ignore, because the evidence is no longer speculative, it's no longer interpretive, it's scientific. The Giza Plateau was not empty land waiting for Khufu. It was already alive, yet this chapter of history is rarely discussed, almost never highlighted. It feels uncomfortable, as if reopening it threatens something fragile. Perhaps that's why debates about the true age of the Sphinx are quietly discouraged. Most books say the same thing. Most documentaries repeat it. Giza begins with the Fourth Dynasty, with Khufu, with the Great Pyramid. But that story is incomplete, and over the last week, new evidence has emerged. Not opinions, not theories, but hard data, data that cannot be dismissed. First, a brief recap of the archaeological record. Then, we'll examine new scientific findings that fundamentally change the timeline. Welcome back. This is Silent History. If you're interested in ancient construction, lost civilizations and the science reshaping archaeology, consider subscribing. Now let's begin. Roughly 700 years ago, Giza was prime territory. It sat at the gateway to the Nile Delta, a wide limestone plateau, elevated, stable, and beside a branch of the Nile that no longer exists. A perfect location for settlement. In fact, it would be strange if nobody lived here before the pyramids. And they did. Fragments of pre-dynastic pottery from the Mahdi culture have been found across the plateau. They've been photographed, cataloged, documented, but rarely discussed. The information exists, it's just buried. There was also a Mahdi settlement not far from Giza itself. Given the finds, it's reasonable to conclude that this culture had a presence on the plateau. The story doesn't stop there. To the south of the main pyramid field, early dynastic tombs still survive. Clear proof that activity at Giza continued long before the Fourth Dynasty rose to power. Then there is the Wadi Cemetery, located near the Great Pyramid, just north of the Western Cemetery. It was excavated in 1904 by George Reasoner. What he found was astonishing. An entire cemetery buried beneath a massive dump. The dump dates to early in Khufu's reign. Material cleared away to prepare the plateau was piled directly on top of older graves. 77 tombs, hundreds of photographs, yet minimal excavation. Reasoner believed Giza already served as a necropolis before Khufu arrived. Not the most important one, but an established one. And then, there is the Sphinx. More specifically, the Sphinx enclosure. Geological evidence suggests its earliest phase predates the Fourth Dynasty. Later cuttings, clearly Fourth Dynasty, are far less eroded. The older walls are worn, weathered, ancient. This doesn't prove the Sphinx itself is pre-dynastic. It does suggest the enclosure and the earliest temple phase already existed. Perhaps as a quarry, perhaps as a harbor structure, repurposed, reimagined. Geologist Colin Reeder addresses this directly in his recent work on the history of the Great Sphinx. It is detailed, evidence-based, and firmly grounded in geology. This is not pseudoscience, it is careful research. Another puzzle piece is the Cromer Dump. Excavated in the 1970s, it unquestionably dates to the Fourth Dynasty. But within it, researchers found clay ceilings and pottery that appeared older. Some experts argued these pointed to occupation before Khufu. More recent excavations have questioned that interpretation. Laser scanning, reanalysis, debate continues. The verdict is still open. But even without it, the case remains strong. And now we reach the most compelling evidence yet, geochemistry. In 2024, a scientific paper examined sediment from the ancient Khufu harbor. The focus was copper. Copper production in Egypt began during the pre-dynastic period. Metalworking leaves traces. Those traces settle into sediment. By analyzing sediment cores, researchers reconstructed human activity, spanning thousands of years. The earliest spike appears in the late pre-dynastic period, around 3265 to 3185 BC, too sharp to be natural. This points to local metalworking at Giza itself, before the pyramids, before the Fourth Dynasty. Another spike appears during the First Dynasty. This aligns with early dynastic tombs south of the plateau. High Nile levels, active construction, human settlement. The data fits the archaeology. Copper activity declines before the Third Dynasty, then rises again dramatically between 2615 and 2485 BC. This is the Fourth Dynasty. Khufu, Khafre-Menkaure. The sediment records, the pyramids being built, even the beginning of the Great Pyramid project, emerges from the data. This dataset aligns perfectly with known history. And that's what makes it powerful. Because when science points to earlier activity, we should listen. Much of Giza's earliest history was erased, cleared away, leveled, reused. But it wasn't destroyed completely. Some of it still whispers through stone, through sediment, through chemistry. The Giza Plateau had a past, long before the pyramids. That past is no longer invisible. And perhaps some of its structures are still there, hiding in plain sight. Thank you for watching Silent History. If you enjoyed this episode, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments.